Welcome everyone. You are at the live webinar, Live Landing Page Critiques with usability expert Michel Sharritt, which is myself. This webinar is being brought to you by Situated Research. Situated Research is a usability research and testing firm located in Chicago, where we conduct usability research and testing for software clients, as well as video game clients, and clients who have websites. The topics that we're going to discuss today are menu navigation structure, how many main menu buttons should you have in your main menu, what should your labeling be. We'll also talk about website organization, where certain things such as videos and photos should be placed on a landing page. We'll also talk about your website's color psychology, graphics, font size, color, and headings. We'll also talk about your website copy. Look to see if it's wordy, what the page links are on your web pages, and also what is your content about. We'll then talk about social media integration and search engine optimization. And finally, we'll discuss page layout and page structure. So Situated Research, let me just tell you a little bit about us. Again, we conduct usability research and testing, and our team has written the playbook on usability for website design. We've conducted over 5,000 website reviews in the last 6 years. So all websites have issues or concerns when it comes to usability. And why is this? Well, some of the reasons are some companies decide that they want to build websites on their own. So they want to save some money. They have a friend build it for them. They hire a company that isn't as experienced as someone else. Usability is not incorporated within the design of the website. So there are many different reasons why websites are not user-friendly. So here at Situated Research, we had a lot of clients coming to us saying, my website's not user-friendly, my landing page isn't user-friendly, can you help me with some assistance? And so what we did is we came up with a free usability report where we go over 20 different areas of usability, ranging from everything that we're going to talk about today: content, menu navigation, page structure, etc. Just recently, so that used to be a report that you would receive. You would just simply fill out a form, give us the URL to your website, and we would conduct the testing and then send you a report. Now what we're doing is a free marketing analysis. So we're still going over those 20 different areas of usability, but only going through the top 5 areas that your website needs improvement on. And we're putting that into a video. So you get a free video analysis of your website by an expert here at Situated Research. And it really gives you a lot of insight into the user-friendliness and the marketing aspect of your site. The video includes analysis of the overall user-friendliness of your website, research-driven analysis of your branding and marketing presence. There's an evaluation of your site's navigation structure and ease of use. And we also include action items to improve your website's effectiveness. So simply just go to our website and you can go ahead and request that video. So why do you want to make sure that your website is user-friendly? Any improvements to your site to make your site more user-friendly can help retain customers, build trust, and boost sales. It's proven. We've conducted over 5,000 reviews here at Situated Research in the past 6 years, and we've seen it time and time again. So today's webinar, we actually just concluded the same webinar on November 9th. And because the webinar was so popular, back in October, we did the November 9th session and then today's session. So we still have an overwhelming amount of people who want to see this webinar, so we might start doing this weekly. We haven't decided yet. I know that was one of the questions that popped up. Also, something that we didn't talk about at the beginning, if you do have any questions during today's session, simply in your right-hand box where it says chat, go ahead and type in those questions as you think of them. And then that way, if we need to go back in the webinar, we can go ahead and do that. So today's session is live. We are going to be critiquing websites live here. And those people who signed up and registered today have given us clearance to go ahead and review their sites live and also to have them up on the recording later on today. So that will be made available to everyone at the end of the day. So some live reviews that we've done, a couple grocery markets here in Illinois. We've looked at Cisco's website, a couple breweries, a couple hair salons, Wayfair, just to name a few of the places that we reviewed live during the session. And so today we want to include everyone who said that we could go ahead and review their site, and we'll go ahead and start doing that. Now if when you registered and you didn't put in the URL to your site because you didn't want it to be reviewed, and now you've decided that you do want it reviewed, we can go ahead and do that. Just type in your right-hand chat box your URL, and we'll go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so the first site that we're going to look at, let me just pull this up over here. Let's get situated. Okay, so the first site that we're going to take a look at is a local company here in Naperville where our company's located, and it's the Naperville Settlement. They're actually a client of ours now. We are going to be helping them to redo their website. So we actually did our free report for them a few months ago, and it turned into a project. So they were generous enough to allow us to use this as one of our examples today. So the first area that we look at when we look at a website is we look at the home page. So we look at the landing page of the home page, and we look to make sure that it's clearly pointed out exactly what this business is all about just by looking at the home page. So this can be done by looking at graphics. It can be done by looking at their company logo. It also can be done by looking at the content that is on the home page. So we want to make sure that the website clearly indicates the nature of their business and any products that they sell. So this criteria, it looks at what your site is communicating through text, images, logo, and taglines. And we want to make sure that they correlate to create a strong impression with good corporate branding. So when we look at the homepage of the Naperville Settlement and we're looking at it, we can see that it says Naperville Settlement, and the logo is sort of clear. I mean, as a local, I know what the Naperville Settlement is, but someone who doesn't live here may not know. So it may not be clear by the logo. So I would look around the page, and I would look at the content of the home page. And I can see it says Chicagoland's Outdoor History Museum. So it's obviously a museum, so that gives me some information. But that's about it. So it's not entirely clear. We would suggest clearing this up a little bit more. Instead of showing spotlights on the homepage, maybe give a clear message as to what the Naperville Settlement is. That way people understand when they arrive at the site. So that's something that we would suggest. The next criteria that we look at is color psychology. So this is going along with the user experience. So we look at each color that's being used on the home page, and we want to make sure that the colors correlate with branding. So we would first look at the Naperville Settlement logo. So we have brown, we have red, green, turquoise. And so do the rest of the colors of the site correlate with the colors that are in the logo? And not necessarily, but the colors around here do match with the logo. And then the background image as well is of the actual museum. So that looks great. There's some companies out there where they have a black and white logo, so it's kind of hard as far as color psychology goes. But everything should go with the branding, so with the logo. And the background image should go with it as well. And if you have a box like this with any content in it, you want to make sure that it also correlates with the colors within the logo. So the next criteria is we're looking at the aesthetics of the site design. So aesthetics just simply refers to the creative design and flow of your website. So not all websites need fancy graphics. There should be a pleasing look and feel, which corresponds to the nature of your offerings. So in other words, your website should look nice. So when we look at this, we can see, okay, nice background. There's a box here with a lot of content, a lot of menus. And there's also menus up here. So the homepage has a lot going on. Plus you have this image changing out every few seconds. If we go ahead and click on an internal page, let's just click on any page. Okay, not sure what happened. Let's click on something else. Okay, so this internal page, a lot of content. Nothing's changing, the background stays the same. So aesthetically pleasing, I mean, the homepage looks good. And the rest of the pages stay consistent. So I would say they get a really high score here because they stay consistent, which we'll talk about a little bit later on about consistency. So this kind of goes into, is the website enjoyable and fun to use? So this criteria, it pays close attention to the psychology of using your site. So while this is subjective, it does pay attention to what it feels like to use the site from the point of view of a customer or a stakeholder. So again, the nature of the presentation should be relevant to your business and target customers. So as I'm scrolling around, as I'm clicking different pages of the site, am I getting the information I need right away? Is it fun? Is the website too wordy, giving me too much content? Are pages taking too long to load? Which seems to be an issue here. This page loaded quite quickly. So it just seems that this website has a lot of information. So is it fun to use? Not necessarily. Is it easy to use? Not necessarily. So the enjoyable, fun to use factor isn't here, and there are different ways that we can make it so it is fun and enjoyable. So when we're going through a website, we're looking at two things. We're looking at the overall user experience and we're looking at heuristics. So when we're talking about the overall user experience, we're talking about, do you have a clear message on the homepage of your site? Is the color psychology there? Is all of your branding consistent? Is the aesthetics of the site look good? Is the website enjoyable and fun to use? Which leads into, is it entertaining or is it boring? Do you have way too much content? Which leads into, is the site wordy? Meaning, do you have pages where people have to scroll through and read content, such as this page? This is a lot of information. And what we have found through doing all of our research and testing is that users don't scroll when they're on the internet. Unless they specifically are on your site looking for certain information, getting frustrated, and they have to scroll. They're certainly, when they scroll it, are not going to read word for word here. So this is a lot of information and no one's going to read it. So that leads into wordiness. And it also leads into, is the site motivating and does it give you powerful messages? So you could have pages that fill up real estate, with content. The content fills up the real estate of the page. And so some companies believe that If they repeat messages or repeat certain information just to fill up real estate so they have many pages on their site, that their company will look bigger than it is. And they'll get more business that way, using a little psychology there. And that could be further from the truth. So you really just want to make sure that the content that's on your site needs to be there, and that the content is motivating and gives a powerful, strong message. You also want to make sure that the content encourages communication and that the site encourages communication. So you need to have a contact us button. You need to have ways for people to contact the company. It builds trust, credibility, and it also says, hey, I want to get in touch with you. I want to talk to you. I want to learn more about you. Consistency is huge from page to page. So just clicking around, looking at different pages, just making sure that the menu structure stays the same at the top of the page. If we click something else, another internal page, making sure that everything is consistent, stays the same. That menu has not changed. There's a menu on the left that has not changed. So that's good. Consistency is great. The background's the same. The page where the content is in, this block has not changed. So that's good. And then ease in locating typical information. So such as a contact page, a search box. We want to make sure that all of that is in a consistent, easy location for people to find. So that's what we're talking about when we look at the overall user experience. When we're looking at the heuristics of a site, what we're looking at is the functional design of the site, the wireframe. Now, a wireframe of a site is simply where things are located. So kind of like a blueprint of your website, like you have a blueprint of a house when you're building a home. So here we have the logo, menu structure, main box where all content will be fit in, and then your background imagery. And within the main box where all your content would be, we have some other sub-menus that are very, very important. We have our social media outlets, all are here. And so that's our blueprint. So is that a functional blueprint for a website? Yes. Menu navigation is normally at the top. Logos are normally in the left-hand corner and are clickable. Content's normally in the middle of the page. Looks great. So they would get a very high score here. We also look at the navigation systems. So we look at the main menu buttons. We look at the labeling of the main menu buttons, and we also look at the submenus. Now for this particular site, when we're looking here, we can see that, wow, there's a lot of submenus. So when you're looking at the main menu buttons, which are About Us, Plan Your Visit, Programs, Collections and Research, I Want To, they have 5. So you want anywhere from 4 to 6 main menu buttons. Submenus, you don't want any more than 3 to 4. And the reason for that is because information is going to get buried. And so you can see submenus go from top to bottom. And this is a lot of pages. These are all pages. Some pages even have more pages, as you can see here under Newsroom. Partners and Affiliations has 2. Programs has 2, 4, 6. Oh my goodness. And then there's another set. So this is really deep. A lot of information is going to get lost. Wow, this one is 3. Wow. Okay. So the menu navigation really needs to be looked at. And I believe we talked about this. Nancy, who's attending today, you and I have talked about this in the menu navigation. So this is really important and something that our information architects can be looking at when we redesign the site for the Naperville settlement. The other thing when we look at heuristics is that clear, distinct labeling. So we want to make sure that the labeling makes sense. The labeling for some of these sub-menus is kind of long. Weddings at Century Memorial Chapel should just be weddings. So landscaping and grounds should just be landscaping. So you just want to make sure that it's limited and that you're not making the labels too wordy when it could just be very simple. We also want to make sure that the site follows web standards. So like hyperlinks, making sure they're underlined and colored blue. Like here we have learn more in cursive. So it says learn more, so we know that we can click on it. However, it wasn't a hyperlink. So it wasn't following web standards, but we knew to click it because it said learn more. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known. It's just text. So that's what we're talking about when we say follow web standards. We also look at the readability of the font size, and we also look at the color used for the font. So a lot of companies, what they do when they write their content is they try to match it to the colors in their logo, and that can be very distracting for users who come to the site. This one, we see that headings are all in green. Why green was chosen, I'm not sure because it's not in the logo either. When we talked with Nancy, the president of the Naperville settlement just liked the color green, and so that's why they chose it. That's not a reason to choose that color for your font. So we really just need to look at font size, look at who the typical user is that's going to come to the site, so understand who that user is, what age group they are. Make the font size accordingly to that, and also the color of the font. We also look at grammar and style, so we look at the verbiage, make sure there are no grammatical errors. We also want to make sure that contact information is always available, and we want to make sure that it's in our main menu navigation as well as the footer of every page. So that way, if we're on a page where we have a lot of content, let's see if we can find a page with a lot of content again. Okay, so if we're on this page and there's a lot of content and we actually do scroll through it to try to find something, that once we get to the bottom, we don't have to go all the way back up to the top to try to contact someone. All of that information is at the bottom. So we have our social media outlets here. We have address, phone number, fax. I would also say a contact us button down here where we can email them as well. We also, when we're looking at our website, look at the heuristics. We're looking for help and documentation. So some assistance on this site if someone were to get lost, especially, on simpler sites where you have just a few pages, which is content and no submenus, a search box isn't necessary. We would just suggest having a sitemap, which is just a hierarchy of the pages within your site, because a lot of people see all the pages on the site. The site has a lot of information. So it's good that they have a search box, but a sitemap, a lot of people know that they can just click on the sitemap and go to the topic that they want and click it and be brought to the page right away. So with this size of website and the amount of information, a sitemap is good, so that's good, and a search box is excellent. So they've done a great job there. So I want to thank Nancy and the Naperville Settlement for allowing us to review their site today. And we are going to go ahead and go to the next site. So today, Doug at the City of Geneva, Illinois, has asked us to review his site. So we're going to go ahead and look at some of the same criteria that we looked at for the Naperville Settlement and some new criteria as well. So we're going to go ahead and start off where we left off at Naperville Settlement and look to see if the site is entertaining or if it's boring to users. So when we actually do these video analysis, we actually have experts reviewing your site and looking at these different areas, and in the video talking through it just like I am right now with you. And so you get a live view of your site. You have an expert pointing to items, going through the criteria with you. And that way you can go refer back to the video, show your team whatever needs to be done, and you have that video. So is this site entertaining or is it boring for users? Sites with a lot of information and a lot of content we find can become very boring. However, such as the Naperville Settlement or such as the City of Geneva, their websites are heavily content oriented. So a lot of content, and it's a lot of content that they have to have on the website. So when that's the case, sites can get boring. That's why aesthetics come in, graphics, to make it more pleasing for users to want to use. So this site, we know it's a government site. It's a city site. It's not going to be fun, a lot of information, but we can make it more enjoyable experience by putting a pleasant photo up, putting a scroller through here, slideshow presentation of photos, imagery, making sure that when we do click on different pages, that we're just not given a bunch of content. That was a bad example. So that page had a lot of content. This page has a lot of content. So I'm assuming that this site, every page is going to have a lot of content. So that's something that we will review with the City of Geneva, Doug, and kind of go through and have our information architect look at your content and then look at your menu navigation as well, because as we can see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main menu buttons, which is good. That's between 4 to 6. However, you have a lot of submenus. Here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23. Over here, we have a whole new look and feel of the menu. Why that's changed, I don't know. So a lot of different things going on. So consistency is not there. We clicked on city code and another window opened with a totally different website. All of this, there's a way to make sure that all of this information loads within the website. That keeps people on the website, as well as if I were a user and I just clicked on city code and I was brought here and somehow this window closed and I may not have the City of Geneva's URL memorized to their website. I did a Google search. So that could be a user getting lost. So now they're on this municipal code website and they can't get back to yours because they don't remember the URL. They don't remember what they put in the search engine to find your site. So this is a bad example because it's a city website. I'm going to remember. But let's say I was doing some shopping and I did a search on Google. And it brought up a website, and then I clicked on an internal page and it opened up a new browser window, and I lost the other window. It either closed, something happened, and I can't get back to it, and I can't remember the name of the company. Well, that company just lost business. So it's very important to have everything open up within the website. And there's a way, like we need this external site to show up. We need to give this information. So a window can pop up here and put that information in there. As I scrolled here, yeah. So this one has a lot of submenus as well and more submenus. So see how deep this is? See how it's tearing down, doing like a waterfall effect? Oh, geez, there's more. Please tell me there isn't more. Okay, this, Doug, we really need to look at. So we can go ahead and do that. But look at that. That's 4 levels deep. Actually, 5 levels deep. Yeah, 5. So information is going to get lost big time. Treatment plant history, all this information is getting buried in the website and it's going to get lost. So menu navigation really needs to be looked at. Okay. The next criteria is wordiness. So is there too much to read? So yes, this site is very informational. However, again, there's a way to display the information where it's not wordy. Okay, so Doug, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that menu navigation. And when we give you your video analysis, going over the other areas of usability and heuristics, we'll talk about fixing that. Okay, but I do want to thank you, Doug, for allowing us to review your Geneva website, and you will be hearing from us very shortly. Thank you. So the next site is The Honest Company, which we were really excited that a rep wanted us to go ahead and review the site. So we will do that. So the first thing that we want to look at, let's look at the menu navigation. So here in the main menu navigation, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we only want 4 to 6. So this is something that would need to be fixed. We also have some submenus. So a lot of information in the submenus. Okay. Wow, personal care, we have a lot. And there's more. So we would, wow, a lot of products. So we would definitely, there's a way to organize the site in a better way to make sure that the information is not getting lost and that we don't have a submenu that looks like this, because this is a little crazy. So we will go ahead and look at that. And who was it? If you could just type your name in, who was from the Honest Company? Lisa. Okay, thank you, Lisa. So yeah, we would definitely look at that. Something else too, slideshows are very popular. That's right here, where different slides are playing to showcase information. And we get this a lot on e-commerce sites. However, you want to make sure, we don't go through this in the report, but you want to make sure that these go slowly, but not too slow, so that people can actually read this marketing, actually click something, not have to use the arrows to go back in case they miss something. So that's just as a side note. Okay, so we're going to go back to the main page. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the verbiage of the site, making sure that the verbiage is motivating and gives us a powerful message. So here on the home page, it's the Honest Company. Most of us are familiar with the Honest Company. However, if you were not, but just by looking at the homepage, would you be able to figure out what the site's about? So obviously something with children, with babies, products, a lot of cleaning supplies, looking at the main menu navigation, bundles, diapers, feeding, personal care, cleaning, vitamins, gear, gifts. I would have to say something with babies and being honest, and that would be it. So the message just isn't clear. They do an awesome job of branding and a lot of commercials on TV, so people are pretty familiar with it. However, someone who's not may come and be like, I don't quite get this company, so I'm going to leave. I don't get what it's about. So that's something that needs to get cleared up. So the verbiage that we do have, is it powerful verbiage? Does it give us calls to action? So this says new winter diaper prints, introducing holiday sweater, cardinal, sled dogs, red plaid, and winter floral. Get started. Maybe say order now or take a look, something like that. So if I hit get started, this page comes up and I have all of these diaper prints. You can actually see little children wearing them, see how it works, etc., how to order. Kind of look through some images here. So great, but this is the verbiage that I'm looking at. So this is an e-commerce site, so it's kind of hard. With e-commerce sites, verbiage, people are there, they're shopping, they're really just want to look at images. Verbiage isn't very, very important. Call to action buttons are important, and labeling of those call to action buttons are important. So that's what we would be looking at. Powerful verbiage we'll go ahead and look at with the next website. So encourages communication. Is there any way to communicate with this company? Yes. We saw that chat box came up. So right here, this totally encourages communication. We also have contact us button. We can click on that, contact them, fill out the form, etc. So they really want to get noticed, and they want to have a discussion with you. They want to talk with you. They have their social media buttons as well. Something that we were going to talk about today is social media integration into your website. And social media integration is just putting in the links to your different social media outlets. So here for Honest Company, they say get to know us. They've got their Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, Google Plus account. They want to get noticed. They want to be contacted. They have that social media integration here. On the Naperville settlement website, they had all their social media buttons in the bottom left-hand corner we saw in the footer of every page. That was good. So just different ways to do it, but just making sure that those social media outlets are connected to your website some way. Don't make the mistake of just putting them on your Contact Us page. Make sure they're at the footer of every page of your site, and you can even put them in the header as well. So Lisa, I want to thank you for allowing us to look at the Honest Company today, and we will be in contact with your video very shortly. The next site that we are looking at, Chris at Washington State University wanted us to check out their site. They actually just redid it. So I'm always nervous to critique sites that were just redesigned, because you've just put in all this effort and have worked really hard. And so, yeah, it's always, one of those things where I don't want to say anything bad about it. So, aesthetically pleasing, it looks good. I like this big image here of this happy person who's attending the university. Looks really good. I'm not too sure, though, what this is here. So that's a little confusing. I'm looking at your main menu navigation, and you have 5 main menu buttons, which is great. That's between 4 to 6. No submenus, which is great, and the labeling is awesome. You learn about the university, admission, academics, research, community life. Something though with the main menu navigation, as you just saw, so I said that there weren't any submenus. So when you hover over a main menu button, the submenus should come down. That's not the case here. See how nothing's happening? So if I click on About, I would expect an About page to pop up, not the submenu for the About. Okay? Same thing with admission, academics, research, etc. So this design, that's something that's not right. Contact us. Okay, I have a question real fast, Chris. Maybe you can answer this for me. Okay, so this doesn't change. I can click on any one and this submenu doesn't change. So these are the submenus for About. These are the submenus for admission. And the only way I can figure that out is because applying to Washington State University is obviously admission. Academics at a glance, graduate programs, obviously that's academics. So, okay. So I thought if I click on About, these are all submenus of About. If I click on admission, these are all submenus of admission, but that's not the case. So see how that took me a couple seconds to figure out. Someone coming to the site may not figure that out at all. So it's very confusing. So that's something with the coding of this site needs to be looked at. There's actually a free tool, something that we also sometimes do when we do the video analysis. If we notice things like this, there's a site, and it's validator.w3.org. And it's a site where you can, for free, check out to see if there's any coding issues with your site. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Washington State University site here. And there's a whole bunch. Okay, so these coding errors could make your website not function correctly. And it can also make it look and feel differently in different web browsers. So if I'm on a Mac and I'm using Safari versus if I'm on a PC using Chrome, it could look different. It could also function differently, especially if you have an e-commerce site or some sort of ordering that you do on your site. You want to make sure that there are no coding errors whatsoever. You should want to make sure that there are no coding errors at all and make sure that your website's perfect and error-free. But especially if you have an e-commerce site or a huge website with a lot of information, such as Washington State University. So menu navigation, we need to fix that. And underneath each one, we have a lot of submenus. So under About, we have 7. We have 8 under Community Life. So that's a lot of submenus. So this information is going to get lost. So we need to take a look at that. Just scrolling through the site, is it fun to use? Is it boring? Is it entertaining? I like the clean, slick design. However, there's a lot of stuff going on. Lots of different things. I'm still scrolling and going through. Still scrolling. Still scrolling. Okay, now we're at the bottom. So a lot of information. We have more menus down here. So I thought maybe I could click on athletics, but I can't. So a lot of information down here as well that they couldn't fit in the top menu navigation. So maybe, let's see, all the way at the bottom, just as an example, we have athletics. We have on campus, faculty. Faculty should be under About. On campus should be Community Life. Athletics should be About Us. So all of that should be under here, not as a sub-menu at the footer of the page. So I want to go ahead and look at an internal page real quickly. Okay, this is not good. So we talked a little bit about consistency, but we want consistency from page to page. So we want to make sure that the look and feel remains consistent across all the pages on the site, because research proves that a consistent look and feel will raise trust. So your users will build faith in your corporate image. So does your website keep things like your logo, main menu navigation, and contact information in the same place on every page of the site? Does the overall look and feel stay the same when you click on internal pages? This clearly is a different website. Does not look like the main website at all. I'm going to go ahead and click on a different internal page. This is a totally different website too. I'm going to go ahead and look at one more page. This is totally different too. So the look and feel changed. So main menu navigation is no longer at the top. It's not the same website clearly. We have new menu navigation over here. What happened to the other menu navigation? And the thing that we talked about earlier, where that second web browser opened, and I'm sorry, the window opened, and we had new information come up for the city of Geneva, the city code. And I said there's some instances where websites have you go to another website and then you can't get to the original site again and you forget. This is an example because it opened up in the same window, but a new website. And so if I start clicking around here and I just start doing things and I want to go back to the main website, how am I going to do that? Well, here I clicked on the logo because I knew that as a web designer that I could do that, hopefully, if it was programmed correctly. So that's good. Or I would be hitting my back button. And sometimes when you're in a browser and you keep hitting the back button, it won't take you to the original site. It'll only take you back so far. So that's something also. So you just want to make sure, I understand, Washington, Chris, that you guys just redid the site and that not everything's linked together and that these external pages are from a different site and that you need to get them all integrated into the new site. I get that you guys are still doing that. But this is just an example of why you want to remain consistent. So thank you, Chris, for allowing us to review your website. You will receive your video analysis shortly. And thanks again. So now we have Josh at the Rosebud in Chicago. And he's asked us to critique his new website. So this website was done earlier this year. And so he wanted us to go ahead and just review it. So the next criteria that we're looking for is ease in locating typical information, such as contact information, learning information about the company, so an About Us page. So this in particular is a restaurant. I love the imagery, by the way, Josh. This is kind of making me hungry. Great imagery. So with a restaurant, obviously images are very important. One thing that we don't talk about in the analysis is images and how using stock imagery can sometimes hurt you. Even though you purchase it, a lot of times people can tell that it's stock imagery and that you purchased it, and that it's not your imagery. And so especially with a restaurant, you want to make sure that it's images of the food that you produce, not just images that you pay for on the internet. And so these are great images, by the way. I mean, this food looks awesome. You're making me hungry. All right, so let's go ahead real quickly and review the main menu navigation. So here we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 main menu buttons. So again, Josh, we want to have between 4 to 6. And the reason for that, I don't know if I said this earlier or not, is that when you don't have between 4 and 6 and you have more, you're giving your users too many options to choose from. And when you have too many submenus, you're getting information lost within the website. So just something to think about. So if I hover over these main menu buttons, exactly what's supposed to happen happens. The submenus pop down. And as we can see here, there's a lot of submenus. So our restaurant, they have a lot of different locations, a lot of different names for their restaurants. So those are all listed here. I get that. If we go to reservations, we also have those same locations. So you may not want to have this as a submenu. You may just want people to click on reservations. Can you just click on reservations? No. So just go to reservations and then have a page that pops up to Open Table or whatever you use to make reservations instead of having it like this. Because let's see, it opens you up to Open Table anyway. So just by eliminating all this, you get rid of the submenu because they all go to Open Table. So just go to reservations, Open Table, click which restaurant. We have gift cards, bake shop, events and promotions, private dining, and contact us. Contact us, we have a map with all the locations, get in touch. Great footer with our social media integrated, as well as our contact information. So we have that. Let's make sure that if we go to an internal page, you guys did a really good job. I'm actually impressed. I thought if I clicked on a different restaurant that I would be taken to a new website. So I thought that all these had their own websites and their own look and feels. And that's good that you stayed consistent. Great job, Josh. I normally don't see this. So good job. So we have that. If we go to the About page, kind of tells you about them, has the same footer, same main menu navigation is at the bottom too. This website was done really, really well. I do have to give you props. Now, as I say that, I'm sure, Josh, you're sitting there like, oh no. Okay, so what did I click? Yeah, I clicked Bake Shop. So a new website popped up for baking. And so, yeah, again, we want to make sure that everything remains within the main website, that a new browser window doesn't open and a new website doesn't come up. So somehow this needs to get incorporated into the main website. Let's go to events and promotions. Okay, that looks good. Private dining. Looks good, consistent. So gift cards, let's just check that out real fast. Okay. So the only thing that I would suggest is on events and promotions page, see how on every page you have those 3 images? You want to make sure that on the events and promotions, you have that imagery at the top as well. Because private dining, you have it. About, I believe you had it as well. Yeah. So just remain consistent. Okay. All right, Josh, thank you so much. Again, you will receive your video analysis very shortly as well. Thank you. So the next site that we want to look at is Bray. He is a commercial broker out in Colorado. And we've been working with him for some time now to redo his website. So he's been gracious enough to allow us to look at his website today, give it a little critique. As he's made some minor changes himself. He actually built this website with a company out in Colorado that specializes in real estate websites, and he's able to edit the site himself as well. So we wanted to go ahead and just review it a little bit because he's made some changes. So as far as the branding goes on the site, something that we had talked about earlier is about slideshows. And something that we don't talk about in the report that I mentioned earlier is how long it takes for the slides to change. And so this one clearly is too fast. So slowing down that speed would be really good. A lot of imagery that he wants to show here of Colorado's history and real estate history, kind of showing the land there, but it's going too quickly. So it's taking my mind and making me distracted and taking my mind off of why I came to the site. And I'm not sure if this was on every page or not. No, it is not. So let's go back to the homepage. So the branding, as far as the company logo goes, needs to be spruced up a bit because aesthetically it's not pleasing. Needs to be looked at and changed because it's just text. And it's in a big square box. So we need to take a look at that and make sure that, it's more pleasing for the eye of the user. Clearly, we can read the welcome message and know exactly what the site's about. We know it by the name of the company as well. As far as main menu buttons go, he has 5, which is great. That's between 4 to 6. He does have sub-menus. And some sub-menus go to a totally different website. Others do not. So we want to make sure that we stay consistent and make sure that we're not going to a new website. We have some other information here. We have a blog. We also have contact us, meet our team. Okay. All right, so we've got some good information here, but the overall look and feel really needs to be looked at. They have added their social media buttons, which is great. We want to make sure that we're able to search within the site. So overall, good job. But there's a lot of improvements, like the site map needs to be looked at. The menu navigation needs to be looked at as well. Labeling of the menus needs to be looked at. Slideshow needs to slow down. Having social media buttons here as well as the footer isn't needed. We would put that in the footer, put some other information here, maybe a featured listing. So some suggestions that we can give. But we want to thank you, Brian, for allowing us to review your site today. And we are going to go ahead and look at our last site, which is HelloFresh. So Karen at HelloFresh registered for today's session and wanted us to review the site because they just had their site redone as well. And they were kind of concerned about the overall user experience of the site. So just looking at the functionality of it, how to order, if that was confusing. So with e-commerce sites or sites where you're ordering products, we want to make sure that the user journey is short. So the user journey is how long or how many clicks it takes a user when they come to your website to order something. or to find certain information that they're looking for, or to fill out a form, or to interact with you, whatever it is. So with this particular site, it's how to order one of their boxes. What they do is they deliver delicious and healthy recipes with all the pre-measured ingredients to your door each week. So clear message, great job. So how does that work? So if we click how it works, let's go ahead and pretend like we're here at the site for the first time, which I am. I actually have never looked at this site before, and I want to order a box. So it says we create amazing recipes. We do the shopping for you. There's free delivery. You prepare the food. What is a flexible subscription? So I'll read about the flexible subscription. Okay, so I'm thinking what I would want to see as a user after this is order now button, so I could get started. Instead, now what I need to do is to go back up to the top of the page, and I guess subscribe. I'm not sure, so I'll enter my, okay, I'm not sure what's going on. So I'm going to enter my address. So we'll go ahead and hit subscribe. Congratulations, you've successfully signed up. Okay, now what? So I would probably get frustrated at this point and go to chat us and start chatting with someone if I was really interested in this service. Otherwise, you might lose me because it didn't say anything like you'll receive a message in order to fill out your login information to open up an account. It doesn't say anything. I have my recipes, our boxes. Okay, I'll go ahead and view the box. But most users at this point aren't going to go through all this. So, Karen, this is hard. I think just by adding, I would go to how it works. And, I'd read through, I wouldn't read this information. I mean, it's good to have if someone did read it. I'm going to just read headings. And then when I get to the bottom, I'd want to see a big button that said order or subscribe now. And when I would subscribe, I would expect it to say you will get a welcome email explaining how to start your subscription. Instead of just putting in my email address and getting a nice little message like thanks, and then nothing, that's confusing to me because now what? I'm assuming because I gave you my email address, I'm going to be getting an email. But I'm assuming this. Nothing's being told to me. So it's not clear. So that's something that really needs to be fixed because I'm sure you guys are losing people because of that process. So that user journey is confusing. Just looking real quickly because we have just a few minutes. Looking at the site, it's aesthetically pleasing, very nice looking website. We have our social media integrated. Looks good. I love the imagery. Looks really good. Again, we have that clear, precise verbiage here that gives that clear message, call to action. We have a very short main menu navigation between 4 to 6 buttons. We have some submenus, but not too many. So I would say great job, but as far as the main purpose of the site, which is to order your product, the user journey is a very long one because now what I'm assuming is that I have to go into my email and then go through some steps that way, whereas I don't want to do that. And it's confusing because I'm assuming this. It's not spelled out for me. It's not clear what needs to happen. So that's something that needs to be fixed. So we'll go ahead and go back to our presentation. And that concludes today's session, our live landing page critique session. If you'd like the free report, please contact us today at info@situatedresearch.com. or visit us on the web at www.situatedresearch.com or contact us. There's our phone number. We'd be more than happy to get you your video analysis. Usually takes about 48 hours to get that turnaround to you. And then we can also set up a time to go over it with you as well if you should have any questions or your team has any questions. So we'd like to thank everyone for attending today's live session, and we hope that you will join us next time. Thanks so much and have a great day.